right, Marla and Tom, thank you for the session today. Just want to summarize a few of the things that we talked about, because we actually did cover a ton of ground for both of you today. So I'm going to start with Marla, because that's who I started with throughout our session. So we did, I would say, 2 really major adjustments for you throughout the course of our work today. One was primarily about the path of the golf club, which I described to you as, how far out or in is that golf club coming as it approaches the ball. So for you, oftentimes with your swing, you would have the club coming far too much from out to in, swinging across this way. I gave you kind of that clock face analogy where this is 12 o'clock and this is 6 o'clock. You would have the club coming from like 4 o'clock over across this way. And that was the biggest cause of those kind of pop-up shots with your driver. You would really go underneath it. After having come so far from the inside, the club's traveling downward, it would get to the ground and go underneath the ball. So we talked a lot about getting the club to path a little bit differently, swing a lot more kind of from in to out. Okay? And you did that successfully. But we discovered that is a necessary but not sufficient condition to hit straight balls. Because once we have the club coming from in to out, what we still discovered is the face of the golf club is still too far open, okay? So we utilized a resource that I think was really effective for you, almost too much in some ways. We had you bend your left wrist a little bit to help manage the club face a little bit more this way. You actually found it kind of overclosed the face in some instances and made it so that you hit some kind of lower grounder shots. So what we need to do is kind of calibrate the amount that we need to do. But I tell you what, if we continue to get the club to come from the inside, if we continue to get the face of this golf club closed, you're really going to experience some long draws, which I wouldn't say probably was a feature of your golf game prior to today. So I think you're on a path. It's certainly not all fixed all the way. Ooh, gotcha. Sorry, not your best one there. Sorry. All right, now we're going to talk a little bit about what we worked about with Tom. Actually, I think you do share some characteristics that I think I may have told you last time, but husbands and wives tend to take on some of the characteristics of each other's swings, intentionally or unintentionally, I don't know. But Tom, the biggest thing for you was, I think, actually the lack of arm depth was a bigger issue for you, because you actually did get the club back in a pretty good position, but immediately in transition, those hands were shooting outward. So that at this point here, kind of lead arm parallel, club was very vertical and had 0 depth. So it was really, you didn't have much room to go unless, as you swung into here, you would back your body up, stand it up, and try and create, you get the lie angle stood up this way to try and create a straighter shot. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work all the time. Makes it less consistent. So what we worked on with you was your transition, right? Trying to, instead of pulling in transition there, allow that club to fall behind in you a little bit more. And when we started to do that, when we got you turning through the ball, I thought you saw some really effective shots. We gave you that pause drill to kind of help manage that condition. So you get up, fully pause, 1, 2, 3, restart, and try and feel like that club is going to stay behind you much longer with this lead arm, this left arm, pinned much more to your chest. We did also discover that keeping our forearms a little bit closer together, kind of our elbows working together, which kept your right elbow close to your chest here in transition, helped keep it in for you, and allowed you the ability to kind of turn through and hit good straight shots. So, thank you so much for the session. Any questions before I wrap it up?
Did you want to have the information on the